Okay, we're back to pick back up on this discussion about these locusts that we're seeing in Revelations as compared to the locusts in Exodus. Okay, the locusts in Exodus, we learned that they devoured all the vegetation. And we also learned that they were very grievous, and no locust had been seen like them before, and no locust would be seen like them again. So over here in Revelation, that's very important, because when we get over here in Revelations, the part about the vegetation, in Revelations 9, let me see which verse I need to go to here. Let me back up to verse 3. Let's pick back up. And it says, "And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and upon them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their forehead." Okay, the seal here we are looking at is the seal of God. One thing I want to point out here, now I'm not going to discuss the seal of God right now because that's not the topic at the moment. That's a very interesting topic, but it's not the topic at the moment. As we saw in Exodus chapter 10, those locusts devoured vegetation. These so-called locusts that we're seeing here in Revelations, they are not to hurt anything of vegetation, it appears. So here we see that mirroring again, because it says they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree. Well, that was everything that got consumed by the locusts in Exodus, but now we're seeing these locusts that are given power are not consuming any green thing here in chapter 9 of Revelations. Now, one thing I'd like to point out is to me, this lines up with this, I forget what it's called, Go Green thing that has been promoted, and makes me wonder about the agenda and what's going on here, but that's another video too. I just wanted to throw that in there. Think about that. Because on the Go Green program, it's to not hurt things of the earth. Okay. Such as grass, trees, vegetation. All right. Let's pick back up. Let's see. Okay. We see that it mirrors the locusts in Exodus, because they ate all the vegetation, and these locusts cannot eat the vegetation. Okay, it goes on to say, "And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man." Okay, here we see some pretty rough creatures coming up out of this pit. And many times I had pondered this scripture here. And we know that we've seen up here in the earlier part of the chapter how it talks about a star fell from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the pit, the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And then that is when we saw the sun and the air were darkened by the reason of the smoke of the pit. Of course, it doesn't give us a time frame here as to whether this is 1 day, 2 days, 3 days of darkness, 20 days of darkness. I mean, it doesn't say. But the fact that it connects us back to the locusts, like I said before, we saw the locusts, then darkness. Here we see darkness, then locusts. It's the mirroring of events in Exodus that I'm trying to point out here. And these locusts, what's coming out here? The bottomless pit has been opened, and this is the releasing of the darkness, the demons, the spiritual darkness that is coming upon the earth. And it is also a physical darkness, because here we read about it up here, where the sun and the air were darkened. So we're going to see with chapter 9 here, a physical darkness and a spiritual darkness. And we know that spiritual darkness, we can see it now, but it's growing and growing and growing. And when this pit is opened, it is going to explode, okay? That, I believe, is the point I'm to make with this right now. We may come back to this later. It just depends on how the Lord leads me. But I believe this is when that spiritual darkness is released, and it also manifests as a physical darkness as well, okay? So we're going to go back over here to Exodus and pick back up. Okay, we discussed the locusts. Now, one other thing I want to point out about them before we leave that subject here at the moment is up here where it says, neither after them shall be such, meaning there'll be no more locusts like those again. The thing I want to point out about that is these locusts that were seen in Exodus, and it's saying they'll not see such again, is totally different from the locusts that we are seeing in Revelations. So let's make sure that we don't get that confused, because these locusts we're seeing in Revelations, if you go on, maybe I need to do that. I need to go on and give you further description as to what is in this. I lost my spot. I'll get it back. Right here we are. Lord always helps me with that. I love it. Okay, let me just read a little bit more here about this. Let's see. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men, and they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions, and they had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. And I don't think that any of us need to guess too hard to understand who that is, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. One woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. I believe there is a great darkness released here. Spiritual, physical, and it is going to bring things with it. As you can tell by the description of those creatures, It is going to bring things with it that will be horrific. And I'm going to stop this right here and be back.